History is full of legends, but not all of them are heroes. Some men left behind legacies so dark, so brutal, they changed the course of history forever. In this video, we're diving into the stories of the top 5 baddest men in history. Figures whose names still send chills down spines. From ruthless conquerors to tyrannical dictators, these men didn't just shape history, they shattered it. But here's the catch. You'll want to watch till the very end because our number 1 might just blow your mind. And while you're here, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment about which one of these historical villains you find the most chilling. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. 5. Pol Pot, 1925 to 1998. Pol Pot, one of the most infamous figures of the 20th century, rose to power with an extremist vision that would plunge Cambodia into an era of darkness. As the leader of the Khmer Rouge from 1975 to 1979, Pol Pot sought to create a utopian, classless agrarian society. However, this vision quickly turned into a nightmare. Under his rule, millions were forcibly removed from cities, separated from their families, and made to work in rural labor camps under brutal conditions. Intellectuals, professionals, and anyone deemed enemies of the state were executed or left to die from exhaustion, starvation, and disease. In just 4 years, nearly 2 million people, around a quarter of Cambodia's population, were wiped out. Pol Pot's regime didn't just destroy lives, it dismantled a nation, erasing culture, education, and religion in its pursuit of radical equality. What makes Pol Pot's legacy so horrifying is the sheer scale of suffering caused by his obsession with his ideology. He believed that a rural, agrarian society would be free of corruption and inequality, but his methods betrayed the very ideals he claimed to uphold. People were stripped of their humanity, reduced to tools in a dystopian social experiment. Children were separated from parents, taught to spy on them, and indoctrinated into the regime's ideology. Death and despair became the backdrop of daily life, as Cambodians were forced to endure relentless physical labor with little food, medical care, or hope for the future. Pol Pot's place in history is often grouped with other tyrants like Hitler and Stalin, yet his actions stand out for their cold, methodical destruction of his own people. Unlike conquering empires or power-hungry leaders, Pol Pot's vision was turned inward, targeting his nation's citizens as the enemy. Questions about his motivations and methods continue to baffle historians. Was he driven by a genuine belief in his ideology, or was it a mask for his desire to control and dominate? His actions highlight a chilling truth about the danger of unchecked power and radical ideology. Understanding Pol Pot's reign of terror raises important questions about morality, leadership, and human suffering. While his actions are universally condemned, the moral complexities of his rise to power and his ability to manipulate others into complicity remain topics of deep reflection. His legacy serves as a grim reminder of how quickly ideals can turn into atrocities when wielded without compassion or accountability. 4. Ivan the Terrible, 1530 to 1584. Ivan IV of Russia, known to history as Ivan the Terrible, was a ruler whose legacy is as blood-soaked as it is transformative. Crowned the first Tsar of Russia, Ivan sought to solidify his power and expand his empire, but his methods earned him infamy. His reign, marked by paranoia and brutality, saw thousands of executions, including the murder of his own son in a fit of rage. Ivan's creation of the Oprichnina, a secret police force loyal only to him, unleashed a wave of terror across Russia. Entire towns were razed, and families were wiped out under accusations of treason. The Oprichniki operated with unrestrained authority, leaving a trail of devastation that left the Russian people living in constant fear. Ivan's actions not only decimated his enemies, but also sowed deep mistrust within his kingdom, shaping Russia into a land ruled by fear. Despite his violent reign, Ivan the Terrible was a figure of contradictions. On one hand, he was a ruthless despot who ordered mass executions and ruled with an iron fist. On the other, he was a visionary leader who expanded Russian territory and centralized the power of the Tsar. Under Ivan's rule, Russia pushed its borders eastward, opening the path for future conquests that would make it one of the largest empires in history. He also championed cultural advancements, commissioning the construction of the iconic St. Basil's Cathedral and promoting trade and diplomacy with Europe. Yet, these achievements remain overshadowed by his cruelty and the psychological scars he inflicted on his people. Ivan's legacy is a complex one, raising questions about the balance of power and morality. Was his reign of terror necessary to unite and strengthen Russia, or was it the product of unchecked authority and paranoia? Historians continue to debate whether his actions were a reflection of his mental instability or a calculated strategy to maintain control in a turbulent era. Ivan's story is a grim reminder of the dual nature of power, its potential to build and destroy. For many, his reign represents the dark side of leadership, where ambition and fear intertwine to create a ruler both feared and remembered. Ivan the Terrible's name remains etched in history as a symbol of tyranny and the cost of unchecked power. 3. Joseph Stalin, 1878 to 1953. Joseph Stalin's reign over the Soviet Union remains one of the most brutal and transformative periods in modern history. Rising to power after the death of Lenin, Stalin established himself as a dictator who ruled through fear, repression, and absolute control. His policies, including forced collectivization and the Great Purge, led to the deaths of an estimated 20 to 30 million people. Entire villages were wiped out during the man-made famine known as the Holodomor, which targeted Ukraine and caused unimaginable suffering. Stalin's network of forced labor camps, known as gulags, became a symbol of his regime's cruelty, where political prisoners, intellectuals, and ordinary citizens were worked to death. His paranoia drove purges within his own party, the military, and even his inner circle, ensuring that no one was safe from suspicion. The Soviet people lived under constant surveillance, terrorized by the fear of arrest, exile, or execution. Yet Stalin's legacy is not solely defined by his brutality. Under his rule, the Soviet Union was transformed from a struggling agrarian society into a global superpower. He spearheaded rapid industrialization and centralized control over the economy, creating a militarized state capable of defeating Nazi Germany in World War II. The victory over Hitler cemented Stalin's image as a hero to many within the Soviet Union, despite the immense human cost. His vision for a powerful, self-sufficient USSR led to advancements in science, technology, and industry, but at the expense of personal freedoms and the lives of millions. Stalin's policies fundamentally shaped the modern world, contributing to the Cold War and the decades-long struggle between the East and West. Stalin's place in history is both infamous and complex. To some, he was a necessary force that propelled the Soviet Union into prominence, while to others, he was a tyrant whose reign epitomized cruelty and oppression. Was his ruthlessness the price of progress, or was it the manifestation of unchecked power driven by paranoia? These questions continue to fuel debates about his rule. Stalin's story is a chilling reminder of the dangers of authoritarianism and the human cost of ambition. His reign left behind a superpower built on the shattered lives of tens of millions, ensuring that his name remains one of the darkest in history. 2. Genghis Khan, c. 1162 to 1227. Genghis Khan, born as Temujin around 1162, was the founder of the Mongol Empire, the largest contiguous empire in history. His rise from humble beginnings to the ruler of a vast empire is a story of ambition, strategy, and unparalleled brutality. Genghis Khan's military campaigns were among the most devastating in history, leading to the deaths of millions. Entire cities were razed to the ground, their populations massacred, as he expanded his empire from the steppes of Mongolia to the heart of Europe and the Middle East. His armies employed tactics that spread terror, using psychological warfare and unrelenting violence to subdue their enemies. Estimates of the death toll during his conquests range from 20 to 40 million, as populations were annihilated and lands left desolate in his wake. Despite the bloodshed, Genghis Khan's legacy is far more complex. He was not only a conqueror, but also a visionary leader who laid the groundwork for unprecedented cultural and economic exchange between East and West. Under his rule, the Mongol Empire established the Silk Road as a vital trade network, connecting distant regions and fostering the movement of goods, ideas, and technologies. Genghis Khan also promoted meritocracy within his empire, elevating individuals based on talent rather than birthright. Religious tolerance was another surprising feature of his rule, as he allowed conquered peoples to practice their faiths freely, a policy that helped maintain stability in a diverse empire. Genghis Khan's influence on history is undeniable, but his actions raise questions about morality and the price of power. Was his brutality a necessary tool for unification and progress? Or was it a reflection of unchecked ambition? His story embodies the dual nature of leadership, a ruthless conqueror who brought destruction but also connected the ancient world in ways that shaped its future. Genghis Khan's legacy continues to provoke debates about the role of force in creating change and the fine line between leadership and tyranny. His name remains both a symbol of fear and a testament to the transformative power of vision and strategy, ensuring his place among the most notorious figures in history. 1. Adolf Hitler, 1889 to 1945. Adolf Hitler, born in 1889, rose to infamy as the dictator of Nazi Germany and the architect of some of history's darkest chapters. His rise to power was fueled by propaganda, charismatic oratory, and the exploitation of Germany's post-World War I grievances. Once in control, Hitler's ideology of Aryan racial supremacy drove his catastrophic policies. His expansionist ambitions led to World War II, a conflict that claimed the lives of over 70 million people globally. Among his most horrific legacies is the Holocaust, during which 6 million Jews, along with millions of others, Romani people, disabled individuals, political prisoners, and more, were systematically murdered in an industrialized genocide. Hitler's regime turned Europe into a battleground, unleashing destruction on a scale never before seen in human history. Hitler's impact extended beyond his atrocities as he reshaped the political landscape of the 20th century. His pursuit of global domination brought about unprecedented alliances and conflicts, leading to the eventual downfall of Nazi Germany and the division of Europe during the Cold War. Under Hitler's leadership, Germany became a war machine, making advancements in military technology while enslaving millions for forced labor. His control over the media, education, and cultural life showcased the terrifying potential of totalitarian rule. Despite his initial appeal to some Germans as a leader who restored national pride and economic stability, the devastation he brought ultimately left the country in ruins and the world scarred. Hitler's legacy is a chilling reminder of the consequences of unchecked power and extremist ideologies. As one of history's most notorious figures, he is universally condemned as a symbol of hatred, destruction, and moral depravity. His actions force humanity to grapple with uncomfortable questions. How does a society allow such evil to take hold? Could history repeat itself under similar conditions? The moral complexities of Hitler's era remain a subject of study and reflection, serving as a stark warning against the dangers of prejudice, authoritarianism, and apathy. Adolf Hitler's name is synonymous with evil, ensuring his place in history as a figure whose actions must never be forgotten lest they be repeated. The stories of these men serve as grim reminders of the destructive potential of unchecked power, ambition, and ideology. From Adolf Hitler's genocidal reign to Genghis Khan's relentless conquests, each left a mark on history that continues to haunt humanity. Their actions reshaped nations, destroyed countless lives, and left behind lessons that demand reflection. Whether through cruelty, terror, or calculated ruthlessness, they remind us of the thin line between leadership and tyranny. By understanding their legacies, we're reminded of the importance of standing against oppression and safeguarding the values of humanity, justice, and freedom. If you found this exploration of history compelling, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking content, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Who do you think stands out as the most infamous figure in history? Let us know, and stay tuned for more deep dives into the moments and people that shaped our world.